to Conor. Shame on you. And shame on the ones that have ignored him.
The fight this weekend is off. Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr.
Johnny Nelson strongly criticized Conor Benn after Benn pulled out of his fight with Chris Eubank Jr. just 3 days before the match on April 26th. Johnny didn't hold back. He said Benn backed out because he was afraid and couldn't deal with the pressure of a tough opponent. Nelson went even further, calling it one of the most embarrassing withdrawals in British boxing in years. With the drug test controversy happening again, Johnny said, "Benn's not a fighter, he's a walking scandal." He also questioned the timing, saying Benn waited until fans were excited, tickets were sold out, and media coverage was high, then suddenly disappeared. Nelson believes this wasn't bad luck. It was a planned move. He said Benn didn't just cancel a fight. He let down the entire sport at a time when it really needed him.
Stage with this fight as well, of it not happening.
Johnny Nelson didn't hold back when talking about Conor Benn pulling out of the fight. He blasted Benn for using the failed drug test as an excuse and said it was obvious Benn was afraid to face Chris Eubank Jr. According to Johnny, when the pressure got serious, Conor backed out instead of stepping up to the challenge. Nelson praised Eubank Jr., calling him a true professional who was ready to fight, while Benn couldn't take the heat. He said this wasn't just a last-minute decision, it was a disgrace to the sport. Eubank Jr. didn't deserve to get caught up in Benn's drama. Johnny made it clear, Benn's actions have damaged his reputation and hurt boxing as a whole. You think Conor Benn made the right call, or is this the beginning of the end for him? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like the video.
Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn has been officially postponed.
Eddie Hearn has finally snapped, and the boxing world is watching the fallout. Conor Benn didn't just pull out of the fight, he blew up what little trust fans in the sport had left in him. Just days before his huge showdown with Chris Eubank Jr., Benn walked away, setting off a wave of backlash. Eddie Hearn, who had stood by Benn even after 2 failed drug tests, is now done defending him. Hearn publicly distanced himself, saying Benn embarrassed the sport. He praised Chris Eubank Jr. as the only true professional in the situation, focused, disciplined, and ready to fight, while Benn created total chaos. The fans were excited, broadcasters were all in, the energy was at its peak. Then Benn ruined it all with what many are calling a coward's exit. This wasn't just a canceled match, it may have been the end of Benn's career. Eddie Hearn's anger made one thing clear. Conor Benn didn't just lose a fight, he may have lost the sport.
We haven't spoken since this has been announced, and it's a shame, you know? But
Chris Eubank Jr. has finally spoken out, and he didn't hold back. He tore into Conor Benn's reputation, calling out the harsh truth. With the fight just days away, Benn disappeared. No proper explanation, no responsibility, just vanished. Chris called it what it really was, an act of fear. After all the trash talk, all the buildup, and all the hype, Benn walked away when it mattered most. Eubank didn't sugarcoat anything. He said he stayed clean, stayed prepared, and stayed professional, while Benn gave in to the pressure and ran. This wasn't just a fighter pulling out. It was a total embarrassment. Fans were let down. Boxing was disrespected. And as Chris put it, Conor Benn folded like paper.
It was very disappointing, and obviously I was very shocked with what I saw because
Adam Smith didn't hold back. He set the record straight. He called out the whole situation, saying boxing has no room for drug cheats or fighters who run when things get tough. Adam made it clear, the sport is bigger than any one fighter. And anyone who damages its reputation by failing drug tests or backing out under pressure has no place in the ring. He directly criticized Conor Benn for pulling out of the fight against Chris Eubank Jr., saying it was obvious Benn was scared. The pressure got too real, and instead of stepping up, Benn ran from the challenge. Smith warned that boxing can't afford to ignore this kind of behavior. A fighter with 2 failed drug tests shouldn't be allowed to continue without serious consequences. Adam called Benn's actions a disgrace to the sport, and he made it clear, boxing has no space for cowards or cheats. And now, Duke McKenzie's take is coming, and it's going to be explosive.
I believe that he's been caught not once, but twice. Then take his license away.
McKenzie didn't hold back. He tore into Conor Benn with pure fury. In one of the harshest critiques yet, Duke said Benn disgraced boxing by walking away just days before the biggest fight of his career. He didn't just back out, he crumbled like a coward. Duke brought up Benn's 2 failed drug tests and slammed his latest withdrawal as not a mistake, but a planned exit. Not fear of losing, but fear of being exposed. He accused Benn of mocking the system, breaking the rules, and said it's time for serious consequences. Duke demanded that the British Boxing Board strip Benn's license for good, calling for a lifetime ban. According to Duke, this wasn't about nerves. It was about avoiding the truth. He declared Benn unfit for the ring and a stain on the sport. Now, he says, boxing must make an example of him.
He'd been caught twice for doing the same thing. So, if it was me, take his license away. You know, because you cannot cheat in the sport of boxing.
Duke McKenzie didn't just criticize Conor Benn, he buried him. In a scathing takedown that rocked the boxing world, Duke tore into Benn for failing 2 drug tests and then backing out of the fight like a scared rookie. He made it clear, this wasn't a mistake, it was calculated cheating. A deliberate move that disrespected every clean fighter in the game. Duke called for Benn's license to be destroyed for good, warning that if boxing allows him back in, the sport will lose all its credibility. In Duke's words, Conor Benn isn't just a problem, he's a threat to boxing itself. An infection that needs to be removed before it destroys the sport from the inside. This wasn't just a shame, it was a humiliation. And now, with Duke's harsh words still echoing, Spencer Oliver is stepping into the storm, ready to deliver. His own explosive verdict on Benn's withdrawal and the chaos that followed.
Fight, the British Boxing Board of Control not happy to go through with the fight because he has failed his drugs test.
Spencer Oliver didn't hold back. He went straight for Conor Benn. He held Benn fully responsible for the cancelled fight, revealing that the British Boxing Board of Control refused to sanction the bout after Benn failed another drug test. The result? Total chaos. Spencer didn't soften anything. He called Benn's actions a disgrace and accused him of humiliating the sport on a global stage. In Spencer's view, this wasn't just a fighter pulling out. It was a scandal that shattered the event and betrayed every fan waiting for the showdown. He made one thing clear. The fight was canceled because of Conor Benn's dirty legacy. But Spencer's brutal takedown was just the start. Adam Catterall followed up, doubling down on the criticism. He tore into Benn for ruining the fight and stood firmly in support of Chris Eubank Jr. as the only true professional left in this boxing disaster.
I was actually upset. I felt disrespected. That this young punk, that's how I felt at the time.
Chris Eubank Jr. exploded with emotion after Conor Benn pulled out at the last minute, calling the situation not just disappointing, but deeply disrespectful. He said this wasn't just a missed fight, it was a slap in the face to everything boxing stands for. Chris felt insulted and humiliated, especially after staying disciplined, clean, and fully prepared, while Benn's past kept casting a shadow over the event. The buildup was massive, fans were hyped, and Chris trained like a warrior. But when it was time to step into the ring, Benn bailed. Eubank Jr. didn't hold back. He promised this won't be forgotten, saying justice must be served in the ring. To him, this wasn't a professional decision. It was driven by fear. And now Chris says it's personal. When the time comes, he's going to make Conor Benn pay for every bit of the disgrace he brought to the sport.
Taking the decision to formally postpone the bout between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, it is undeniable that
Adam Catterall came out swinging, tearing into Conor Benn for causing a total collapse just days before the fight. He blasted Benn for his reckless behavior, saying it wasn't bad luck. It was pure negligence that led to the disaster. Adam pointed out that Benn was the one who caused this mess with his failed drug tests and unnecessary drama. He exposed how Benn ran from the challenge when the pressure got too heavy, leaving promoters, broadcasters, and fans with no choice but to step back. Adam emphasized that Benn didn't just cancel a fight. He destroyed everything the sport stood for, leaving a dark stain on British boxing.